it has multiple accesses on three different things called keys, secrets, and permissions. These are the three objects that you can store inside a keyword. We'll understand what it is. And also, this looks like an SAS, doesn't it? Which means that what can I do with, let's say, the key? What can I do with the secret? What can I do with the, let's say, the certificate? Here it is telling get list, update, and etc. Secret also get list, update, delete, and etc. Certificate also you can do all these things. I'm saying okay, great. I'm good with that. I'll say close. And whoever needs the access to your keyword, you will have to add them under the access policy of your keyword out here. Again, after you create the keyword also, you can come here and add the access policy. Shouldn't be an issue. I will say okay, fine. I have added myself for now. I'll get started. I'll say next. Networking. You can say okay, fine. You know what? Public access, selected networks. You can add a virtual network also and secure your keywords just like you did with a storage account. But now I'll say all networks out here. I will say next. Tags, again optional in nature. I'll say review and create. And once it's running the validation, I'll just say go ahead and let's say create this out. So it's running all these things out. It will take some time to go ahead and let's say allow me to create this out here. Let's see. So what am I doing? I'm creating a keyword of a standard tier, and then I went ahead and let's say work with something called as the access policy. Let me hit the review create button. Let's see, why is it not running the validation? Some issue out here. Let's see. Let me recreate this out once again. Demo keyword RG. Say okay, I'll say demo world 000 US is 2. ECS2 out here. I'll say next access policy. I have the access policy. I'm good. I'll say next. I'll say next. I'll say next. And it's now running the validation. And let's see. This looks to be some issue with, let's say, the way I'm creating the world. And let's try to create this out. Okay, great. I'll create this out here. So it took some time to kind of coming. I think some bug basically on the Azure portal. So I'm now creating the keyword, which will help me secure my passwords. For example, let's say that tomorrow when you are working in a live environment, you create a shared access signature for 1 year for accessing a storage account, or you created a virtual machine, and when you created a virtual machine, you have the admin password that got created, or when you created a SQL server, you will have a password that gets created. All those sensitive informations can be stored inside your keyword. It's a secure way of storing information out here. So now I'm creating the vault. I'm not creating any secret out here. I've just created a simple key vault out here. Once that's done, I'll go to, let's say, the resource. And there are three things that I was talking about that you can store inside a key vault: keys, secrets, and certificates. I'll start with secrets. We'll see how you can store them out. I'll just go here into something known as secrets, and in the secrets I'll say generate or import a new secret, and here I'll say the upload option is manual. I'll say SQL password, and here I'll give a secret telling it is Microsoft hyphen 001, and I'll say create. Now what I'm doing is that I'm creating a secret inside my keyword called SQL password, and if I click on the secret, and if you want to see this, click on this one. It's telling current version. It's encrypted in nature. You will only be able to see the show secret if you have the access policy. Cannot let's see, where is the policy? Access configuration. Okay, go to the access policy. The portal has changed a little bit. The last time I saw it's a different one. Now I see it's a different one. Again, if you see this in the secret permission, I have the, let's say, permission to do a get and list. That's the reason I'm able to see the secret. If you don't have the permission, you won't be able to see the secret. We won't give all our developers the permission to see all the secrets. It's a DevOps engineers. As a DevOps engineers, you will also have to control the security of the organization out here. So I stored a secret called SQL password in the Azure portal. I want to use this password in my DevOps portal right now in the release pipeline. In the release pipeline, I'm creating the SQL server. I need the password and etc. I would need this password, or I would want to pull this particular password into my DevOps pipeline out here. And already my Azure portal and the DevOps are connected using a service connection. I'll go to my DevOps portal. I'll say, you know what? Delete this. I don't want something called as password out here. Or just do one thing. Yes. Before I delete, let's go back. Let's see. Here I'm creating the infrastructure. Then I have, let's say, something called, let's say, the app service deploy. Then I have something called SQL task out here. I'll add one more task before all this begins, and I'll search for something called as Key Vault. Selling download Azure Key Vault secrets. I'll say add. Take this all the way to the let's say to the top, and now I'll say Azure subscription is my DevOps ATM service. Let's say the service connection. It's asking what is the key vault. I'm telling this is the key vault that I sorry, this is the key vault that I created. Then I'm telling secret filter. It's telling what secret do you want from the key vault. If it's a star, it's telling everything. Go ahead, get everything out here. If you want one specific secret, let's say in my case, I want one specific secret called something called as a SQL password. I'll copy this and I'll paste it here, and I'll say make secret available for the whole job. What Azure DevOps will do is that whenever it goes ahead and downloads this or downloads this particular secret, Azure DevOps, or you can start using the secret by calling $SQL password. So Azure DevOps will simply store it as a variable. It's a runtime variable, which means that you won't be able to see it in the variable groups or in the variable pipeline variables as such. This is going to become something known as a runtime variable, meaning Azure DevOps, when it runs this task, downloads the secret, gives it to you. Once your pipeline is done, deletes the secret out. So nowhere you are exposing your secrets. So which means that instead of while creating the infrastructure, me using the SQL admin password as password, what should I use right now? SQL password. And also I need to come here. I need to also change this password to what? SQL password. Instead of that, what I'll do is I'll simply come here. I'll say password is equal to $SQL password. Can I do this? Instead of going ahead into each and every task, because I don't know where this variable is being called. So I'll say it is SQL password. I'm downloading the password, and this is now getting, it is telling, okay, fine, password is equal to SQL password. I'm getting this and all that stuff. And I'll just save this out. And now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and create this release out here. Let me go ahead create this out, and let's see how this works out. I'm not sure how this will, let's say, really behave. If I give a password is equal to SQL password, I'll have to check that out. But let's see. Now, let's wait for the deployment to kind of begin. But let's see. Okay, so it is waiting for my approval. Yes, it is, because I have put some approvals out here. Let me approve this out. And once the approval is received, it's now queued the job for me, and I'll wait for this to run, and let's see how this starts behaving. Let's see how this really behaves out here, and let's see what really happens out here as such. So let me refresh the screen. It's telling the job is in progress. Let's look at the logs, and now it's doing the initialize job out here, wherein it is trying to resolve all the variables and it's trying to do a lot of things out here. Let's see. Okay, why isn't the keyword part of it? Oh, I did not save this. Let's see. Let's edit this out. Let's go to, sorry, I was, let's say, working with an older release. That's the reason it did not come. I'll say cancel this out. come back into my new pipeline and go here and approve this release. It's a new release. The older one got triggered, so I'll just approve this one out. And let's check this. So initialize job right now. I have that particular keyword task added, and I will wait for this to trigger and see how it behaves and see what really happens out here. So let's wait for a minute, and it's doing the initialize job out here. And initialize job will go ahead, try to resolve that variables, it'll try to do all these things out here and etc. And the next job is a keyword task. It's trying to tell, okay, fine, I'll go ahead download the keyword task, and it failed. And if I just close this, it failed with a particular error. Now tell me, by looking at the error, this is the error, guys. Okay, I'll just copy this out and send it to you all in the chat, and also I'll put this in a notepad so that we can look at this. Let's put this into the notepad window here, or let's read it from here. What do you think is the error here? Firstly, what failed? What do you think failed? Where did it fail? Keyword error, which means while downloading the secret from the keyword, it failed. And what is the failure message here? What do you think is a failure message here? Can anyone read this? What is it telling you? Can anyone read it? That was the question. Can anyone read this? Guys, do you all understand English? So if you do understand English, then you should be able to read this, right? What does it tell you? Let's go to the chat
The
also.
user group or application app ID.
Okay.
So uploading maybe it's not taking, maybe I feel.
Okay. Now the user group application with this particular app ID, what is it telling you?
Does not
Get
have
permission
secret.
on the keyword. But I have the access, right? But if
Yes.
I go to the keyword, if I go to the access policies, I have the access. I have get list and everything. In the secret permissions, I do have all these things out. But why does it say that the user doesn't have access?
The Azure service connection needs to get.
Service connection needs to very good. Azure service connection, exactly. I am not going ahead and talking with the keyword. My service connection is going ahead and talking to the keyword, and the service connection is nothing but an app registration on the Azure portal. That's what it is telling you. Let's look at this. It's telling the user group or application doesn't have permission. If you just scroll towards the right, it is now also telling you the specified Azure service connection needs to have get list permission on your keyword for secret management. So I don't know which service connection that I'm using, but what I have is an object ID. I'll copy this. Go to my Azure portal, go to Azure Active Directory. In the overview, I just place this in. What is this coming as? DevOps Learning 8. I'll go back to my keyword. I'll say, okay, fine, great. This is what needs the access. And here I'll just go ahead and say, in the access configuration, go to the policy. I'll say create. I'll say, what are all the permissions that you need? I just need a get and list permission on the secrets. You can also do set, recover, backup, restore, and all that stuff without delete. I'll say next. It's telling which user needs this access. This is DevOps Learning 8, right? This is the user who needs the access. Additional, you don't need, etc. I'll say next. I'll say create. I am now creating the access for this particular user out here in the form of, let's say, a service principal, and I'm giving him a get list and etc. on the secrets. Let's go back and redeploy this back again. Now I'm approving the release, and let's check this out. And one doubt I still have is that whether this will really work. I put password is equal to SQL password. This is something that I need to, let's say, really check out, but this release will kind of tell me whether that really works or not. So let's refresh our screens and let's wait for a couple of minutes for the release to go in, and let's see how does this really work out here as such. So let's see the initialize job, and after the initialize job, let's see what will really happen out here. So in the pre-job, it's trying to, let's say, load that secret. It did not fail. It did not really fail right now. It's going ahead and it's trying to create the infrastructure with all the given values, and it's now trying to, let's say, go ahead and resolve your variables and resolve all these things out here and etc., and trying to create the SQL server and etc. with the password that you have given. Again, the template deployment was successful, so I'm thinking this worked. I'm pointing the password out to SQL password, and after it downloaded, the password got changed into SQL password. But in the initialize job, right, if you still say password, still pointing out to what? $SQL password. It did not get it here. It got it here. After this, it said, okay, fine, I'll update the particular variable, and it's going at creating the infrastructure for you. So very importantly, you will use a key vault. Now, believe me, guys, I worked in a lot of projects, and we use this key vault in every project, whether small, big, whatever it is, because any project will have secrets. You want to store those secrets, and you want to call those secrets into the pipeline. How do you call them? By using a simple task called Azure key vaults out here. And when you are working in a real-time environment, right, you are going to get a lot of requirements on a key vault. People are going to come to you and say, okay, fine, you know what, I need a requirement on a key vault, or I need to, let's say, go ahead, I need some kind of, let's say, a client requirement of the key vault and all that stuff, for which while this pipeline is getting created, I want to give you all an assignment on a particular requirement that I have. So this is something, again, we have a requirement section, and in the requirement section, right, I go ahead, write down a lot of requirements. So real-time requirement, Azure key vault task is something that I do have. Again, this requirement comes to me from the students who work here, or you have a lot of students coming in, working in here. They get a lot of tasks. I get a lot of tasks. So I kind of did something like this. So you look at the requirement, this is what you have. See, the issue is that this. So you have a client called Uber, and they have a team of developers or testers. You are giving them the required DevOps support. So you're a DevOps engineer who's working for, let's say, a project called Uber. And here it's telling that the developers in the QA, they do not really understand how to use, let's say, the DevOps portal, or sorry, how to use the Azure portal. They do not really have an understanding, but they would like to have some secrets like API keys, SQL passwords, and etc. stored inside the key vault. And what they are doing you is that they are just sending a JSON file, and this JSON file has all the secrets out here. They're storing this particular JSON file on the Azure repository. Your work as a DevOps engineer is to do all these things. Is to tell you how to go ahead and create the key vault. Firstly, you'll have to create a key vault using PowerShell, Terraform, or ARM templates. Then you will have to, let's say, go ahead and secure this key vault using a virtual network. So you need to, let's say, secure your key vault out here, and then you need to go ahead and take all the secrets from that particular JSON file and inject it into let's say the key vault out here using Azure DevOps. This is what you need. This is the architecture diagram of what you need. And aren't these all the components that you're using? Self-hosted agents, key vaults, virtual networks, and etc. And to explain this better, just scroll down. I'll send this link across to you all firstly. Just scroll down. I have in this particular video, if you click on this one, you'll go to a repository. Just go download this out. I've explained what is my requirement. In a very detailed way, I explain what is the requirement. Just come back, and I have also discussed what is the approach. So if you go here into the very first thing, it's telling you what is the problem, what is the approach, and in the approach, I've given a PowerShell script on how do you go ahead create a key vault, inject secret into a key vault, and also I've given you a sample file that contains secrets. So this is a sample file that your developer is actually giving it to you. And with each and everything, I've also given a video explanation link. If you go and click here, you have the script and JSON on how did I go ahead write this script, how did I go ahead write this JSON file, and I want you all to follow this out. Again, if you just go back, you have each and everything. So firstly, the problem, I've given a video for that. Secondly, PowerShell and the manifest approach, how do you write your PowerShell script, how do you test it out. I also said how do you test the script locally. Then I said how do you go ahead do it with an ARM template. Okay, not this one, sorry, this ARM approach, yes. How do you do it with an ARM template? If you click on this one, I have given, let's say, the entire template out here. If you download this, it will give you the entire template as such. And let's see if I given a template out here. Let's see. Yes, I've given a video link to how to write the template, documentation link for the ARM template, and also the sample link out here. This is the entire ARM template, and I've also written some, let's say, something called as a disclaimer out here, which you need to do out here as such. Please look at this, and then I've also told you how to execute the ARM template. Then how do you go ahead do a build pipeline for this? How do you go ahead do a release pipeline for this? How do you execute everything? And in the later classes, I have something called YAML files and all that stuff. And I have Terraforms also with the same requirement out here as such. So once you do YAML, once you do Terraform, you can come back here and look at this and understand how this works out. But for now, what I want you all to do is do it till here. I said, how do you fail? I mean, what kind of a failure you would, let's say, face? How do you, let's say, remediate that? What is the, let's say, approach that you need to follow? So I want you all to, let's say, go ahead and try this out. Take your time, go through each and every link. Everything is there, but you will have to, let's say, put some time, spare your time, go to this. And this is a great learning. You have a lot of, let's say, things that, let's say, get combined. And very firstly, you will have to understand what is your problem. What is the problem? The diagram for that particular problem, I've also given the same thing. I've also explained the entire problem in a video link. If you just scroll down, you will get this. So just go to this particular link and just go ahead and look at the videos, look at the approach out here, and you'll be able to follow what we're doing out here as such. This is how the problem will actually come to you. This is what you need to do in order to, let's say, break it down and, let's say, kind of approach this out as such. So look at it. Let me know if you have any questions with this. But please take your time. Look at it though. If you have a question, if there's something which is failing, please give me access to your Azure DevOps portal, or wherever it is failing, please give me access so that I can come down. Or if you're coming to an offline class, please get your laptop so that I can look at it and correct where you're failing or where it is failing out here as such. Yes, any questions still here? Anyone, any questions still here? Anyone, any questions still here that I can take? And let's look at a release pipeline, and let's go back to our release pipeline. And development is done. So it might have created all the infrastructure and etc. And it's now pulling all the secrets from the key vault. So if I go back into the home page, look at the resource groups, I have the dev RG out here. Everything is created for me through the Azure DevOps pipeline. And I'm now securely, let's say, deploying all these resources using that particular, let's say, key vault approach as such. So I'm coming via the key vault, securely deploying all these things and getting my job done as such out there as such. Yes, go please. Yes, you'll pass a wildcard. Yes. So you'll have to go inside your key vault. So you'll have to go inside your key vault. If you pass a wildcard, probably you don't know what is downloaded. Either you go to the key vault, look at what are the secrets that are there. Azure DevOps will always and always give you a variable with this name. So if you put a dollar open close, you'll get this one. Or go to your key or go to your Azure DevOps pipeline, go to this particular pre-job where it is downloading, and do you see what it is downloading? Password for SQL SQL password. If you put a wildcard, whatever is the password, it will just give you it in this particular format. So you can use it in that way. Yes, any questions still here? And I want you all to really focus upon this particular requirement as such. This is a real-time requirement, keeps coming a lot. It's a combination of ARM template, PowerShell script, Azure DevOps. So we have learned all these things. Now we are trying to connect with, let's say, one particular scenario that we do have. So please take your time, go through it very carefully, understand what this is, and then go ahead and implement this out. Again, if you just go ahead, copy my script and put it in your pipeline and then run it, it will run, but you will not really learn anything from it. So I want you all to script it out the way you understand it out. I'm okay if you have errors. I'm okay if you even take like about a week or two to, let's say, go through everything, but go through everything. That's what I want. Each and everything, each and every link has a video attached to it. You can go here, download the video, understand what it is, and then go ahead and, let's say, follow this out here. Yes, anyone, any questions before I close?
Sir, previously
Mhm.
we did a parallelism
Second.
request, right?
Yes, correct.
That means I have access with Azure portal means.
When you do a parallelism request, I have access to Azure portal. Can you please come again with your question? I'm sorry, I didn't follow.
So, sir, actually, as you said, there's a key vault. You have to give away again have some permission to run the pipeline, right? Just now we
Yes,
got
but
some error.
parallelism request, correct. Parallelism request is no way connected to Azure, let's say the Azure portal at all. Parallelism request is something that you are, let's say, requesting Azure DevOps to give you an agent so that you can run a pipeline. So parallelism request is for that.
That's
It is
just for
not
only
for,
VM only,
it's just for the agent only. That's it.
but not for a subscription, right?
Okay, yes. I had an issue. The internet got disconnected. So as I was telling, parallelism request is just for a self-hosted agent. It's got nothing to do with the Azure portal. Parallelism request is for the Azure DevOps portal out here and not the Azure portal. And yes, to answer to your question, someone offline asked the question that, what if I need to do a change after the deployment? Should I directly go and change the variable inside the web app, or do we, let's say, change it on the pipeline? I would say change it on the pipeline, redeploy it once again, please. Yes, change the variables and rerun this out. I'll talk about that. There's a concept called delivery and deployment. I'll talk about that as such. So two things that I need to, let's say, cover from your end is that one, you asked me for the validation script to validate the ARM template. I'll take that, and I'll also take this question on continuous delivery and continuous deployment. Okay. All right. So that's it from mine today, guys. Have a good day. Please look at this particular requirement again and again, stressing on this one. Please look at this requirement. You can actually tell this as a problem statement in your interview. When you go to an interview, they're going to ask you, did you face any challenges? You can talk about this. You can talk about what are the challenges that you face, and you can only talk about it when you write, when you do this. When you really do this, you can only talk about that as such. So please do this and let me know if there are any questions. Thanks, guys, and have a good day ahead. Thank you.